You're listening to Mr. Credit on San Diego 1700 with local credit expert Derek Evans. Now, live in studio, Mr. Credit.
Welcome to Mr. Credit. We are live and local here in San Diego, bringing you the most important hour in radio and telling you everything they don't want you to know. When we say they, we mean the Wall Street gangsters, the government, the banks, the bureaus, the media, or anybody else who's trying to lie to you to get their hands, their grubby fingers, on your hard-earned money. Visit MrCreditRadio.com if you want to send me an email or do a Facebook search for Mr. Credit if you want to find me there. Today in studio, we've got Dan Kerr with Kerr Law. Dan, welcome to the studio. Always good to have you.
Thanks, Derek.
And we've got Ruth the intern. Ruth.
Hello.
Is this your first time on the air?
It is the first time on the air.
All right.
I'm
cool.
very excited.
All right. We're going to have a very laid-back show today. All right. I have been bashing the bureaus, the banks, the Wall Street gangsters, and the government and the media every day for weeks. And it's not that I'm tired of it. It's just that I think you might be. So I'm going to give you a break today from that. We're going to lay back a little bit. And we're going to take it easy on this fantastic Friday here in San Diego. Just another beautiful day. Get out to the pool. Do something. I know it's lunch. You're thinking about going home. Take a couple hours off early. Go out there and hit the pool or hit the driving range or something today and enjoy it. So the first thing I want to hit, Dan, is, and Dan is an attorney here in San Diego. What position do you hold with the San Diego Bar, Dan?
I'm chairman of the Law Practice Management and Marketing section.
Okay. And what are your responsibilities with that chairperson?
We hold monthly meetings, put on continuing legal education events. We did one last week at Petco Park, which was a fun one.
Right.
We essentially assist attorneys in being better businessmen or business attorneys with pretty much the back office of running a law firm.
Because it's not just about being necessarily a good attorney. It also, you have to understand business. So that's the idea behind what you're doing there.
Well, it is a business, and that's something that a lot of attorneys don't get taught in law school. So we have a section
works, yeah.
dedicated specifically to helping them out with that.
That's cool. Well, and you cover a wide variety of practices in general. And by the way, you can visit kerrlaw.com. It's KEHR law.com if you want to learn more about Dan, or give him a call or a text message, 619-823-8230. What are some of the things that you're helping people with right now, or some of the things that you're working on right now? I know you cover a wide area of stuff.
Yeah, we do a lot of business law. I've got a couple of clients who are business partners, and they own a significant number of health food franchises. And so we're doing some buy-sell agreements for them. I've got another client who went into business with a couple partners, opened up a few extra offices, and it was all done on a handshake. There's no contracts. They had a business strategist come in, review their entire business, and make some recommendations, the first one of which was you need to get your agreement in writing.
Okay, so let's throw the red flag up here real quick, or the offsides flag if you're a World Cup fan.
Right.
We got to blow the whistle on that one. If you are doing business on a handshake, you've got yourself some serious problems. I'm sure you've seen some pretty bad stuff, and at some point today I wanted to get to the, hey, let's be proactive about things, and what are some of the mistakes that you see folks making.
Yeah,
a lot of people hear attorney and they think, big fees, not necessary. Let me explain something to you folks. A lot of people out there, and what I notice, and we'll get to the business thing in a second, is that folks don't like to read contracts. So let me explain something to you. I don't like to read contracts either. Who does? As far as reading contracts is concerned, I'm like the Three Stooges. I don't know anything, and I don't want to. I don't want to read the fine print. I don't want to have to understand it. That's why I send all of my contracts to Dan. You can do the same thing. It's dan@kerrlaw.com, KEHR law.com. And it's not like he's going to read and just give me the thumbs up every time and send me a bill. I mean, he's going to say things like, hey, I don't like 12B. You need to get this out of here. Or, well, they have this provision, so if this happens to you, then you're screwed, so you need to renegotiate that. It's not just a, hey, yeah, oh, yep, it's fine. You're going to find that most people, when they're writing these contracts, know that you're not going to read them. And
that is absolutely true.
And that's how they write them. They write them with that, premise being the expectation. So if you aren't hiring someone to read your contracts or reading them word for word and understanding them, Dan is a great person who can do that. You can contact him, 619-823-8230. Now, as far as getting back to the business with a handshake, I'm sure you've seen some things like that that have just gotten ugly.
It's interesting. the transactions in business that go wrong most often that end up in my office are the family and friend transactions.
Always.
You'd be surprised. Everyone says, well, they're family. Oh, they're my best friend. I can't tell you how many cases I've seen where those end up going wrong and the friendship or the family relationship is lost. And, of course, the business ends up in litigation. And it's tragic. You know, when you have two independent business partners who go into something with everything written out up front, there's no question marks. There's no ifs, ands, buts about what happens if, one of us goes into bankruptcy. What happens if the business doesn't survive?
What happens if someone becomes deceased? What happens if someone becomes disabled? There are a lot of things that can happen, and they're always unexpected. You know, they're always the things that you're not prepared for, and that's why being prepared for them is such a good idea, which brings me to a trust, obviously, the perfect segue for that. Now, most of those, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but most of those disagreements that you're seeing are over money, I'm assuming.
Almost always.
Almost always over money.
Or hurt feelings.
Or hurt feelings. Could be something, could be a personal thing. Either way, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Have a competent attorney on your team, okay? There's just no reason not to. It's much less expensive than you think. I can guarantee you that. And it's something that you will thank yourself for when it comes down to it. KehrLaw.com, K-E-H-R law.com. Go on with that point. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Well, you know, we try and be the umbrella for our clients. So here in San Diego, it doesn't rain very often. If you don't buy the umbrella before it rains, you're going to get wet. So we try and be the umbrella. You need to buy it before it rains, otherwise you're going to end up in court. And ending up in court is way more expensive than anything you'll ever spend on an attorney up front.
Yeah.
So we do free consultations. We do flexible fee payment plans, flat fees, etc. And the last thing I want is a client walking out of my office needing my services but can't afford them. So I try and bend over backwards to find a way to make it happen for them, help them out.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I recommend Dan to everyone is because he actually cares about you. And that's why we say, you know, Dan Kehr, he cares about you. He spells it K-E-H-R, and you can find him at KehrLaw.com. But when we get to a trust, we're talking about the ultimate umbrella. When it comes down to it, give us all the scenarios in which someone needs to have one and explain to us a little bit about what it is, because this is one of the most overlooked things that exists out there. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that can lead, you know, there's two roads to go down the way I see it. One of them is really simple, and one of them is like climbing a mountain. So you're like have a slight downhill walk in one case, and you have an Everest climb on the other side. Tell me in your words and explain as much as you can how trust works and how that can really help someone.
Well, you know, the difference between a trust and a will is a will tells the world who you want your stuff to go to. Typically, it's heirs. But in order to get there, it has to go through probate. Probate, I call it the black pit of probate. It's expensive. It takes a long time. You're going to pay an executor. You're going to pay the attorney. The filing fees close to $500 just to file the petition. A trust avoids all that. You can get a trust done, and you need to get one done if you own a piece of property, you're married, you have a kid, or own a business, or have over $100,000 in assets.
Okay, so if you're married, you have children, you own a home, you have over $100,000 in assets, and what was the other one?
Own a home, own a business.
Own a business. That's what it was. Okay, so in any of those situations, you have to have a trust. Now you hear this. There's this kind of cliche out there, you know, trust baby and things like that, where you hear these rich kids who have trusts, and so maybe people might not be connecting what it really is. But think about it like this: typically, people who have a lot of money are either very smart, or they're at least smart enough to know that they need to have attorneys to do things for them, and that's why they have trusts, and that's why they're able to use that knowledge, similar to the, you know, back before they changed the bankruptcy rules and all the, you know, the rich guys were filing for bankruptcy. You know, it's about having the knowledge, and in order to have the knowledge, you either need to go to law school or you need to have a good attorney on your side, because the law is very detailed. It's very difficult. I mean, look at some of the bills they're putting together now, the health care bill and all this. I mean, everything they're doing, that's obviously a huge exception to the rule, but it's all based around the law. And so if you don't have a grasp of that, or you don't have someone who can grasp it for you, you're running around out there with blinders on.
Yeah, law school for me was enlightening and empowering at the same time. I learned all of the things that I knew I needed to know but didn't know.
Really? And that's how you felt when you came
Nobody
out.
knows everything, and
of course.
And you can't be a lawyer in practice in every practice area out there. You won't be any good at it.